footage ended up going to 50 Cent and his production company, and it's kind of the centerpiece.
Sold to them.
Yeah. Now we should say that, remember, Diddy and his team were very upset when they found out that this footage was part of the documentary, and they tried to shut it down, but, you know,
the act of taping it is what is so
the
awful.
Act of taping it, right.
Without
Diddy would say that I didn't authorize that video going out, and the argument they've made is that he's the one who has the right, that he owns.
Right now, the most dangerous part of the Diddy fallout is not just the conviction, it is the footage. According to public reporting and legal commentary, there have been claims that private recordings connected to Diddy's circle may include recognizable celebrities, and at least one alleged tape involving a high-profile male figure was reportedly being discussed behind the scenes. Now, to be clear, the identity of that person has not been confirmed, and no one should treat online names as proven facts. But the fear around these recordings is very real, because Diddy's federal case already showed how private videos became part of the courtroom battle. After his 2025 conviction on prostitution-related Mann Act counts and a 50-month sentence, the conversation shifted from rumors to evidence. And once evidence enters federal hands, money, fame, and powerful friendships do not control the story anymore. That is why every leaked clip, every documentary scene, and every lawyer statement suddenly feels bigger than entertainment gossip. It feels like a warning shot.
You got to really look at what's going on. I've been around him a couple of times. Don't like the guy. And I know a lot of other people who he's done weird things to. There are several men who have reached out to me telling me that they got their cakes cooked, basically. They got diddled.
Magic Johnson's name being dragged into this conversation is exactly why this story has become so explosive. Back in 1991, Magic stood before the world and announced he was HIV positive. That moment changed sports, changed television, and changed how millions of people understood HIV. For decades, the public version of that story has been tied to unprotected sex with women, and reporting from that time framed it around heterosexual transmission. Cookie Johnson, who was pregnant when Magic revealed the diagnosis, later spoke publicly about the fear, the shock, and the relief after she and the baby tested negative. But now, in the middle of the Diddy scandal, online speculation has tried to rewrite that history. Some voices on social media and in celebrity commentary circles have pushed the claim that Magic's private life may have involved powerful men and industry parties. That claim has not been proven in court. There is no verified federal filing tying Magic Johnson's HIV diagnosis to Diddy, to Diddy's parties, or to any alleged tape. And that distinction matters. Still, the reason people keep repeating it is because the Diddy case has opened a door that used to stay locked. Federal prosecutors said recordings existed. Jurors saw sensitive videos privately. Reports say those clips were handled carefully because of privacy and victim protection concerns. So when celebrity names start floating around online, the public begins asking one dangerous question. Who else was captured? Who knew about it? And who has been protected all these years? That is the lane the story is moving in now. It is not just about what Diddy was convicted of, it is about the hidden culture around him. Private rooms, celebrity access, power imbalance, and recordings that people allegedly never expected to become evidence. And when a name as big as Magic Johnson gets pulled into that storm, even without proof, the internet does what it always does. It starts connecting timelines, old interviews, rumors, lawsuits, and whispers. Some of those connections are weak, some may be false, but the pressure they create is impossible to ignore.
Saying is, look, if you want to use the Mann Act to prosecute people who are moving to cross state lines for commercial transactions, which again is what it's usually used for, that's one thing. But here, there's no commercial purpose. Diddy lost money. He ended up paying the films were never distributed to anybody. The defense is saying it was for his pleasure and the pleasure of people who may have been.
Now think about why this creates such a heavy cloud over Magic Johnson's legacy. Magic is not just a retired athlete. He is one of the most important public figures in the history of HIV awareness. His announcement in 1991 helped to break stigma at a time when fear and misinformation were everywhere. So any attempt to question that story automatically becomes bigger than celebrity gossip. It touches health, marriage, trust, image, and decades of public advocacy. That is why this part has to be handled carefully. Online commentators have made bold claims. Some have suggested that Magic privately told Cookie a different version of how he contracted HIV, but right now, those claims remain unverified. There is no confirmed court document, no official statement from Magic, and no reliable record proving that Diddy's gatherings had anything to do with Magic's diagnosis. So the responsible way to frame it is this. The rumor exists, the internet is running with it, but the evidence has not been publicly proven. What is proven is that the Diddy case involved recordings. Prosecutors described freak-off events, jurors were shown sensitive footage behind closed screens, and Combs was ultimately convicted on 2 transportation for prostitution counts, while being acquitted of the more serious racketeering and sex trafficking charges. That split verdict is important, because it shows the courtroom did not accept every allegation as proven, but it also did not leave Diddy untouched. And this is where the fear comes in. If private footage exists, and if some clips include people with major public reputations, then the issue becomes bigger than one man. It becomes a question of consent, privacy, leverage, and whether fame created a shield around behavior that normal people could never get away with. That is the real danger for every celebrity whose name gets attached to the scandal. Even if a rumor is not proven, the existence of real courtroom videos makes every whisper feel possible. And in Hollywood, sometimes possibility alone is enough to shake a legacy.
I'll just tell you, if it was me, I would be more than a little upset. I was more than a little upset when the client didn't know and I was being recorded. I mean, there was a while there where I was meeting clients under bridges, freeway bridges, because I was PTSD over it. So I think, as a lawyer, it is one of the most inviolate oaths that you take to protect the client confidentiality and the client.
The most frightening part of this entire situation is that the public may never see everything investigators have seen. During the federal trial, jurors were shown explicit video evidence privately, with monitors shielded from the courtroom. That detail matters. It means these recordings were not just internet gossip or random rumors from a message board. Some footage became evidence, handled inside a federal courtroom, under rules designed to protect privacy and prevent unnecessary exposure. And once that happened, the conversation changed. Diddy's world was no longer just a luxury party mythology built on champagne, celebrity guests, and bad boy history. It became a legal case about power, control, transportation, recordings, and alleged abuse. The jury found him guilty on 2 Mann Act-related counts, but acquitted him of racketeering and sex trafficking. So the legal outcome was complicated, not the full takedown prosecutors wanted, but not the clean escape his defense needed either. That is why every celebrity connection now gets analyzed under a microscope. Wendy Williams had been warning about strange industry behavior around Diddy for years. 50 Cent turned that public suspicion into a documentary machine. Former associates, accusers, commentators, and lawyers all began adding pieces to the picture. And even when some claims are exaggerated, the bigger pattern is still impossible to ignore. Diddy's inner circle is being re-examined in public. This is where Magic Johnson's name becomes dangerous, even without verified proof. Because Magic is not a background celebrity. He is a symbol. His HIV announcement became part of American history. His survival became part of his brand. His marriage to Cookie became part of the inspirational story. So when online speculation tries to connect him to Diddy's alleged private world, the internet treats it like a cultural earthquake. But again, the line has to stay clear. There is no confirmed evidence that Magic appears in any Diddy-related tape. There is no verified legal record proving the HIV rumor. What exists is speculation sitting next to a real federal case involving real recordings. And that combination is what makes the story so explosive. Because once the public knows tapes exist, the next question becomes almost unavoidable. Whose image is everybody trying so hard to protect?
Footage ended up going to 50 Cent and his production company, and it's kind of the centerpiece.
Sold to them.
Yes, was the centerpiece of the documentary. So watch this particular scene, because this is where a lot of people feel Diddy really screwed over someone that he should be very, very thankful for.
At this point, the story is moving in 2 directions at the same time. On one side, there is the official legal record, Diddy's conviction, the sentence, the trial testimony, the videos shown only to jurors, and the civil lawsuits still stacking up. On the other side, there is the online rumor economy, celebrity names, alleged tapes, old interviews, resurfaced clips, and theories that may never hold up in court. And that is what makes the atmosphere so tense, because even when a claim is unproven, the public now believes there may be hidden footage somewhere that could change the way people see major stars. The fear is not just about what has been proven. The fear is about what could still come out.
tried to persuade Netflix not to come forward with it. I think it's an interesting argument because what they're claiming is, Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, has had a long-standing, animosity against Diddy and sort of vice versa. And because he's at the helm, they're arguing this can't be taken seriously. This should sort of be seen as propaganda. And one of the things that Netflix hit back with was, yes, he's executive producer. He doesn't necessarily have creative control. And that's something.
But the tape rumors are not the only reason this story keeps spreading. There is another lane online that tries to connect Magic Johnson's long-term HIV survival to special access, elite doctors, and treatments most people did not understand in the early 1990s. Now, this is where the script has to be careful. There is no reliable evidence proving that Magic used some illegal medication pipeline connected to Diddy. Publicly, Magic has repeatedly credited medical care, discipline, doctors, treatment, and lifestyle changes. Medical history also shows that HIV treatment changed massively through the 1990s, especially as antiretroviral therapy advanced and became more effective, but that has not stopped online speculation. Some people look at Magic's survival, compare it to the fear around HIV in 1991, and ask whether money and access gave him options ordinary people did not have. That part is fair to discuss in a broader way, because access to healthcare has always separated the rich from everyone else. But turning that into a criminal medication ring claim requires proof, and so far, that proof has not been publicly established. Then Usher's name enters the conversation from a different angle. Usher has spoken about being sent to live around Diddy's world as a teenager, during what has been called Puffy Flavor Camp. In old interviews, he described that environment as wild, and said he saw things he did not fully understand at the time. Those comments now hit differently because of everything that came out later around Diddy's legal problems. Usher was young, talented, and being shaped by powerful adults in the music industry. That alone raises uncomfortable questions about boundaries, mentorship, and what young artists were exposed to behind closed doors. There were also past civil allegations involving Usher and herpes disclosure, which his legal side denied. Those cases are separate from Diddy's federal case, and they should not be treated as proof of anything connected to Diddy. But in the public imagination, everything starts to merge. Diddy's parties, Usher's teenage years, health rumors, old lawsuits, leaked emails, celebrity silence, and the fear of tapes. And that is how a scandal becomes a web. One verified case opens the door. Then every old interview gets replayed. Every lawsuit gets reread. Every celebrity relationship gets questioned. Some of it may be real. Some of it may be exaggerated. Some of it may be completely false. But the reason it keeps growing is because the Diddy case made people believe that the entertainment industry may have been hiding more than fans ever imagined.
Phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose. Read this right there from that young man, 22 years old, music producer.
The pressure now is not just on Diddy. It is on the entire circle that surrounded him. Federal investigators have recordings. Jurors saw sensitive evidence. Civil lawyers announced waves of accusers. And public reporting has described lawsuits involving men, women, and people who were allegedly minors at the time. Diddy and his representatives have denied many of these allegations, and civil lawsuits still have to be proven. But the number of claims alone created a level of pressure the industry could not ignore. That is why the celebrity silence feels so loud. In entertainment, people usually rush to deny a rumor when it threatens their brand. But in this situation, a lot of names connected to Diddy's world have stayed careful, quiet, or vague. Maybe that is because lawyers told them not to speak. Maybe it is because they do not want to feed gossip. Or maybe, as critics online believe, some people are afraid that the next clip, the next filing, or the next witness could pull them deeper into the story. The Magic Johnson angle remains unverified, but it shows how far the speculation has spread. The Usher angle is more grounded in public interviews, because he really did speak about living around Diddy as a young teenager. But even there, the responsible question is not, what did Usher do? The question is, what did a child star witness, and what kind of industry allowed that environment to be normalized? That is the uncomfortable part. A lot of this is not just about one party, one tape, or one celebrity. It is about the machine that made young artists believe access was everything. If you wanted success, you had to be in the room. If you wanted protection, you had to stay close to power. And if something strange happened, you learned very quickly that your word might not matter against somebody with money, lawyers, security, and influence. The alleged medication ring theory is still not supported by verified court evidence, so it should not be treated as fact, but as a metaphor for access. It hits hard. The wealthy get doctors. The wealthy get silence. The wealthy get crisis teams. The wealthy get second chances. And ordinary people get told to wait for the system. Now that system is being tested. Diddy's conviction proved that federal prosecutors could win at least part of the case. The acquittals prove that not every accusation automatically becomes a guilty verdict, and the civil lawsuits prove the story is not finished. If more names surface, the fallout will not just be about celebrity embarrassment. It could be about who enabled, who ignored, who profited, and who stayed quiet when the industry was asking young people to trust powerful men behind closed doors.
TikTok, the clock is ticking on Diddy because on Friday he finds out what his sentence is going to be, but today he found out what prosecutors would like that sentence to be, and it is vastly different from what his attorneys have suggested to the judge. Prosecutors want him to do 11 years, just over.
This is the part where the story stops feeling like a scandal and starts feeling like a collapse. The tapes are one lane, the lawsuits are another, the documentaries are another, the old interviews are another, and all of them are now crashing into the same question. How much did the industry know? Diddy's sentencing made the legal consequences real, but it did not close the door. His defense fought the case. Prosecutors pushed for serious punishment. The court landed on 50 months, but outside the courtroom, the cultural trial kept going. Fans are still debating the verdict. Critics are still asking why the most serious charges did not stick. Accusers are still filing civil cases, and documentary producers are still digging through the ruins of the bad boy empire. That is why every old connection matters now. Magic Johnson's name, even through unverified rumor, shows how quickly one scandal can reach into another legacy. Usher's old Flavor Camp interviews show how uncomfortable the industry looks when viewed through today's lens, and the alleged hidden footage creates the sense that more revelations could still be sitting somewhere, waiting for the right buyer, the right court order, or the right person to talk. Maybe some names never come out. Maybe some rumors fall apart. But the damage to the myth is already done. The image of untouchable celebrity power has cracked. And once that crack opens, everybody starts looking inside.
Leaning towards guilt. Now, on the racketeering, I agree with you that the predicate acts may be found, but that's not all they need. There's an ultimate question. The first question on the jury verdict form is, do you find him guilty or not guilty of racketeering? Before you even get to the predicate acts, which you only get to if you find guilt, they could just be hung up on that question and say, this guy's not Tony Soprano. I am not convinced that I even want to find guilt on.
So now the question is simple. Is this the end of the Diddy story, or just the beginning of the names around him being forced into the light? The court case gave us one version, the documentaries are giving another. The lawsuits may bring even more, and the internet is already asking who knew, who stayed silent, and who is praying the next tape never surfaces. Drop your thoughts below, because this story is far from over.